So we're taking our pump screws out. One left. Your pump impeller will stay usually inside this housing. You look right here. There's supposed to be a Woodruff key in here. I have it secured and locked away because I don't have an impeller for this unit right now, but I have it stored and put away so I can find it when I do need it. Slip off your wear plate. And you'll have a little plate down here below. This is where your actual sealing starts to take place. Keep the water out of the oil. This will probably be stuck. You can take a regular blade screwdriver and get up under the edge of it. We're going to go around all sides of it, and you can break it free because there is a gasket that goes under this unit. You can see there's an oil seal, and there'll be a gasket on this surface. And right here, come over. You begin to look down here and you see your first, you have a needle bearing right here, okay? All right. Now you'll need to get your 9/16. You'll have two nuts. Now remember guys, this thing's not going to come apart this easy the first time. I've had this unit apart to inspect, to see if there was going to be, if anything in here was going to need to be replaced or what was serviceable and what wasn't. Okay. And a safe place for the coffee. This is where you want to take your time and be careful. This is why it's a good idea to have a nice work surface. Like I really have a nice work surface. If I clean this bench off, I might. Alright, you pull it apart. What's going to happen is this bearing right here, all of your needles are going to fall out of it when you take it apart, more than likely. I recently tore this apart and then put it back together, and I have greased these needle bearings so that they won't fall out. I'm going to go and slide this apart. And you see that bearing, since I greased it, stayed together this time. I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to count the bearings in here so that if you do drop them, you'll know how many you have to pick up and account for. Because if you lose one, the bearing is junk. You can go ahead and pull this shaft out and inspect. You have a seal surface here. You have a bearing race surface, and you want to inspect those surfaces and make sure they're not pitted or corroded in any way. You have a needle bearing here at the top, and again you have one that is actually down below that needle bearing. I don't know if you can get, I don't know if the video will get in there or not. It might. Yeah, there you go. But you need to try to inspect those needle bearings. Get you a flashlight, shine down in there, look at them, spin them with your finger, spin them with the shaft, clean them up. Alright, now we're going to move on to the actual, where the money's at. It's in this lower unit. Alright, you'll want to pull your shift up so that you can get to your shift clutch. You've got screws here in the front. Alright, so we get these screws to come on out of here and then coax them out. hit them with a plastic handle. Don't hit on this aluminum housing with anything metal. But if you vibrate them, they'll walk out a little bit. Then you can get a screwdriver in behind them and walk them out. That bottom one's going to be a pain. Come on out of there. You want to hang in there. Yeah, well, I got news for you. I don't give up that easy. Alright, my bolt container. Put my bolts in the container. Small parts in the container. Okay. Now that this housing is loose, a lot of times it's going to be stuck. You're not going to be able to get it out. But what you can do is take a screwdriver, stick in the back here, and gently push. There we go. You can also, come here, let me show you. I had to do this the other day. This forward gear, you have to stick a screwdriver down in there and gently push forward. Okay? You don't want to get carried away because you'll end up damaging more than you're trying to fix. Just give it a little pull, off she'll come. A lot of times though, these are going to be corroded. You see where I've cleaned this up and it's been greased up for storage. Okay, come on around here. You have a thrust washer that fits inside the plate. Here's where your snap rings come into play. Snap ring pliers up in there, and this is always a trick. Grab a hold of it. You don't want to let it go. If you ain't careful, the snap ring will be in the next county. You have to lift up, walk, wiggle, and get your pieces out. Alright, now you lift up. This is where your 7/16 wrench and your little ratchet come in handy. See that here, if you look at this shift rod, you'll see that there's a groove, and it sits down inside. Lay your shift rod to the side. Put your nut and bolt for this back together so you have a match set. All right. Wiggle, and you can look right here, right in here. You can see where these pieces go. You see them? Okay. Wiggle and they'll come out. Slide them on, wiggle, and they come out. Now, out comes your forward gear. Pay close attention to this because there is a thrust washer right there. If you're not careful, you'll drop it. You won't know where it is. Alright, now let's release the lift a little bit. Clamp down again. And look guys, remember not to clamp too hard and break your skid piece off. You have a Phillips head screw on this side. Pull your Phillips head screw. It's the pivot. I've seen people pull these out thinking that this is where they drained oil or put oil in. And this is the pivot. Never take this Phillips head screw out. Oops, you fell down inside on me. Come on, baby. There we go. Shaft out. Wiggle woggle. Shift dog out. Pinion out. Remember what I was talking about on thrust washer? There's one on that back gear too. Okay, back gear is a little tricky. You have to actually turn it on its side. Can you shine over in there? You have to actually turn it upright on its side, and it will get hung, but it will walk right on out the front. Make sure you put your thrust washer back in. Now, up inside here, you can take your shaft and stick up in there and grab it. Pull your bearing out. Then you can inspect your bearing, and you can get in there and get your race. There you go. That's it. I don't know how long that took. Cameraman, how long did that take?
11 minutes and 44 seconds.
11 minutes and 44 seconds. There you go. Okay, we're back. I want to talk to you a little bit about your parts inspection and what you're looking for. One of the things I'll show you is on this cone bearing. You can get over here onto this light. You see that bearing right there? Bearing's pitted. That bearing is junk. Means you'll need a bearing, cone, and a race. But I told you I got another unit. I already have it tore down. Come over here, I'll show you this bearing. I've inspected this bearing. That is a serviceable bearing. The cage doesn't move up and down a whole lot. The race looks okay up inside when I cleaned it, so that's a serviceable bearing. You want to look at your gears. When the drive dogs meet, come on in. You see how these edges are worn off? What causes that is people shifting too slow. When you put these motors in gear, you want to snap them in gear. You see this drive dog? It's got a lot of wear on the corners. These corners are supposed to be pretty sharp. Now the gears out of the good unit, come over here and look at the difference. I'll put them up side by side so that you can see the difference. Can you get in close on those? This could mean the difference between your unit jumping out of gear or snapping into gear and just heading across the lake without any trouble. The gear here on the left is what you want. If they look like that on the right, you might want to start looking for a used set, God forbid, or you might want to spend $400 and get a new set. And you can see the drive collar out of the good unit. Somebody at some point got a little sloppy with it and rounded off a couple corners. But if you look at this side, it's in really good condition. So I'm going to make sure that this side faces my forward gear. You've got your front bearing carrier. There's another needle bearing. You'll want to clean it and inspect it. Make sure it's in really good condition. You want to make sure it's not getting water and water damage. So you can see the cone area. That's just a few little items to look at and think about when you're tearing one of these units down and inspecting them. Hey, if you like what you saw today, you can subscribe, like, or comment. If you have a question, please be sure to ask. I'll do my best to get you an answer.